Welcome, everybody, to the Heads of Creative Wrestling podcast. We're just two longtime wrestling fans, been watching since the mid 80s, and we're going to talk about, well, a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff's happening right now in the WWE.
Yeah, this is actually our second attempt at doing this. The first attempt, we were just going to talk about The Rock kind of involving himself in the situation, but now we had the press conference that happened since, so I'm glad that the first one didn't work out so we can get talking to about the real stuff that's going on right now.
Right, and we thought we were going to have more clear answers after the press conference. But I think we can see where the storyline is headed.
Yeah.
There's a power struggle going on.
So what did you think of the entire presentation of the press conference and just the way that everything was done?
I thought it was pretty great. I thought it was different than a lot of the press conferences of the past. Some of
Yeah.
them they have on Raw, some of them they have at a special event where they have a ring set up.
I'm glad they didn't do it like boxing or UFC. Like I was expecting like a table where they're all talking with a microphone, and then at the end they get up and they kind of do a face off for a photo. Like I'm glad they didn't do that.
It was on the stage, which was I don't know, just kind of had a different feel to it.
Yeah,
But overall, I think it was well done, and I heard a pretty good amount of people showed up.
yeah, they had a lot of fans and they were chanting a couple of things, which made it interesting. You could even see it visibly on The Rock's face. He was fighting through it. He you could see that he was kind of underestimated the Cody support. But yeah, you can definitely tell that there's going to be some kind of power struggle. And this was like we talked about this offline, but this was kind of like the first time where they actually mentioned on air, like on a show, that Rock was a member of the board, and they mentioned Nick Khan, and they actually even like when they cut to Hunter at the end, they called him Paul. So they were really
Yeah,
going through like the realism of the whole thing.
it's really a new era, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and even I mean Triple H even told us that this would be a whole new WWE.
Yep.
So so let's get into it. How are we feeling?
Well, we've had all these possibilities, that we've come up with possible scenarios for as far as the storyline goes, and it's still undecided. Is it going to be both? Are both matches going to happen?
Right.
Are there, so? But the whole thing now about Seth Rollins is involved, so that was kind of where I wanted to go first here, because Seth
Yeah.
Rollins has been, heavily involved in the storyline, and there's rumors out there that one of the ideas was to have a fatal four-way match with all
Right.
four guys: Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, The Rock, and Cody Rhodes,
Yeah,
and a winner take all.
before we get into the whole booking of everything, there were a couple of things that kind of were came across to me as unintended, or maybe one of them was at least intended and the other one was not. Um, for starters, the way that Rock and Reigns kind of stood together against, if you want to say against, but the way they faced off with Cody and Seth, and then also when they were leaving and when they were talking with Hunter at the very end, made kind of Roman seem like little brother. And I don't know if that might have been intentional to lay like the seeds of because right now Reigns is the tribal chief, and right now he's kind of taking the little brother role, and I think that's gonna end up pissing him off little by little. So I think that
Yeah,
might have been intended. What do you think?
yeah, I agree. I think that's an important part of the story that
I mean, it
maybe
was
not a lot
always
of.
like Rock taking a step in front of Reigns, or like when they were walking together, he was always like a step ahead. And it was like Reigns looking at over at Rock more than Rock was looking over. It was kind of like little brother syndrome.
Yeah, and
And
they
so
kind of.
I'm thinking that was kind of intended, but what I don't think was intended was they buried Rollins, dude. like they buried him while he was on stage. They were calling him, a bum. Reigns kept calling him a bum, and he kept telling Cody to go join the losers bracket title. I mean, I know that Seth needed to be there because he was part of the decision that Cody was going to make, but he didn't need to be there, and he ended up being like buried. That could have been intended as well, but I don't think it was meant to be intended. What do you think about that?
Um, yeah, I don't know. They have been kind of like, oh, Roman said, go sit over there with the number twos.
Yeah, number two is he said the losers
Yeah,
bracket. He said he called
yeah,
him a bum,
right.
and then he was left there kind of like everything was centered around the other three, and he was kind of just there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if, but I know he had to be there because he was part of the decision. But I don't know. It seemed like a burial.
yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say with that what exactly is going on there. But if Rollins is not involved in the match or anything with them, it could just be another way to keep you guessing. Let's have Rollins out there. Oh, let's make them think that it might be a four-way.
Well, if you noticed, he kind of did. He was kind of shooting as it was meant to be when he you could hear him audibly say to Rock like just because you're on the board doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. And then he said it to Hunter too. He's like he shouldn't be able to do whatever he wants. So it's almost like he
Right.
is doing that realism like he was doing with Punk. He's doing it with Rock. And he was
And that,
also, as soon as Cody got smacked, he was the first one to jump up and he kind of like ran at Rock, which
yeah,
was weird because Cody was kind of like being held back, but Seth they allowed Seth to run at Rock, which we kind of talked about this offline. That since then, Rock or Seth has been very vocal about Rock on social media, so that's leading me to believe that that could be a match right there.
it could be. I mean, it could be, at WrestleMania. Could be before WrestleMania
Yeah,
or after. I don't know how long The Rock's going to stick around on TV. If he's only going to wrestle once,
right.
or so we're kind of like people are, oh, we're booking The Rock in all these matches, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, he put up a post earlier saying that he's got rings set up in Hawaii, in his home in Hawaii, and he's got a place in LA, I guess, and he's got one more place where he's got rings set up so he can train as much as he can whenever he's there. How are we thinking? Are we thinking that they're doing anything with this at Perth, or is this all just headed for Mania?
No, I think it's going to continue in some way uh, at Elimination Chamber, because now the winner of the men's chamber match gets a shot at Seth Rollins.
Hmm. Right, and we were kind of discussing last night offline that we could see a scenario where Rock enters the chamber, but under circumstances, and then happens to win it under circumstances and challenges Seth for the belt.
And the plan then would be, well, the storyline would be, the Bloodline wants to take over everything, both shows, both titles.
Right.
But as I mentioned yesterday, I was kind of, I wanted to see Sami Zayn go into the chamber.
That's what I wanted too. That's why I was questioning why they had him fight Orton in a entry match. Like winner gets to get in, and it's like, well, why can't they both get in?
Right,
They set up five guys, and then they do a second chance match for the sixth guy, and maybe that's how Zayn gets in.
right. I was thinking along the same lines, uh,
But the only way that would
because
happen would mean that somebody would have to get injured or like an injury angle, or because a double DQ, like say there was like a double DQ in one of the matches, they would just have the match again.
right,
So it has to be somewhere where somebody's incapacitated and can't go.
get Zayn back into the match if they're building that storyline where he's kind of been saying, I want to get back to
Right,
the top, things like that. So
right. Or they could go another route and just choose the 6 and then have Rock intentionally just take one out and put himself in, kind of using his stroke, and then also making sure that he enters the chamber last. But then, then we were talking like if he wins the match, you go face Rollins, and then what? You're gonna have another part-time champion?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see this possible scenario playing out where The Rock is going to win the title and he's going to beat Rollins. He's going to win the Elimination Chamber, get people even more pissed off than they already are.
Right.
More death threats.
Exactly. I mean, if you have in every scenario that we've come up with, we've had Rollins losing. And
Right.
even before the press conference, every scenario we come up with, Rollins was losing the belt to Mania, and so then he can go get his injury taken care of. Um, but what do you do if Rock wins it? If he wins the chamber match, they have a match at Mania. What do you do then? Like you're gonna have Rock win the belt, and he's not gonna be there. He might not even
Right.
be there on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that's going to happen. Honestly.
That he has the match.
I don't think The Rock's going to win the Elimination Chamber.
Do you think he gets in?
No.
Okay.
No. I think they're just going to go with what they're doing. And as far as who's going to win the Elimination Chamber, I don't know.
Do you see a
There's
scenario
just
where they're building to a tag match at Perth with Rock and Reigns against Cody and a partner of his choosing? Because I don't think Rollins will be ready for that.
right. Um, I was thinking that's a possibility, but it's just who teams up with Reigns and with Cody
Yeah, it would have to
that
be Orton.
fits.
Somebody like Orton, if he's not, well, he's in the chamber match.
Yeah, he's
So
in the
it'd have to
chamber
be somebody
match.
that's not in the chamber match.
Yeah,
On Monday, this seemed like they're building Jay versus Gunther. We just don't know if that's going to happen at Chamber or it's going to happen at Mania.
no, you said you would like to see it happen at Mania with Jay going over, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to see Jay be the one to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental belt. But the problem is that messes up the rumored Jimmy and Jay match, which it doesn't have to be at Mania. But I know that's what they wanted. It was kind of like one of their dreams as brothers was to have a Mania match.
Right. I was thinking all as well. Another possibility was for Zayn to go after Gunther, and I know
Yep.
you said, well, he was already the Intercontinental Champion, but the
Yeah.
storyline, can Zayn beat Gunther, that's the story. Can he break the record?
Well, that's going to be the story for anybody that faces Gunther.
Right, exactly. So why not do it with Sami Zayn?
You could. You definitely could have because the last time he was a heel with the belt, so now he could be a babyface with the belt. But
Right.
again, that leaves Jay out in the court. Then why are you doing this with Jay? Like, why about that should have been Zayn on Monday then, last week.
Well, then because Gunther needs a challenger
Uh,
for.
Unless what they do is they have Jay versus Gunther and Jimmy messes it up, and that
Right.
sets up the match. So that's twice now that Jimmy would have interfered in one of his title matches. You
There
know
you go.
so that's the second interference, and now Jay has to get revenge.
So that match would be billed as what, Yeet versus No Yeet
Exactly.
for Mania.
But then and then you would have Zayn win the IC belt, and then you can do whatever after that. You can either keep him on Raw, or if you need to switch him to SmackDown, because I'm sure they got another draft coming, right?
Pretty sure.
Um, do you see a scenario where Logan Paul loses the U.S. belt at Mania?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it's LA Knight that challenges him, and LA Knight gets his moment, beats Logan Paul. Sami Zayn gets his moment. Don't you feel like they're kind of, maybe if they did that, it's kind of like throwing him bones? Say, yeah, you know what? You didn't beat Roman last year at the Elimination Chamber, so here you go.
Yeah, but they kind of
He's
need to start building Sami Zayn up again because he just came back at the Rumble, so now we got to kind of start that momentum again.
right.
It's only been a couple of weeks, so he did the interview. Now he's gonna start having some matches and stop talking.
Well, because
You
the
could,
fans say he's over anyway. So
you could even have it where he starts going after the Imperium guys one by one. You keep the
yeah,
story with Jay and Gunther going, while in the background you don't realize it, but Zayn's actually taking out Imperium one by one.
and I would have another. I would have him say at some point that let's say they do Jay versus Gunther, and Zayn says, I'm challenging whoever wins this match. I'm challenging you for WrestleMania because there's history obviously between Jay and Sammy as well.
But then you still get, we still got the looming cash in. He's only got about 153 days, I think he posted, left to do it. Priest.
Well, yeah, Damian Priest with the briefcase. Uh, every time I tried to think of something for that scenario, I just was like, I don't know.
I mean, you could give him a title run. Doesn't have to be long. He could cash in on
Well,
whatever matches with Rollins at Mania, either during the match, make it a triple, or after the match, and beat the
right.
winner. So maybe
Yeah.
that's how, like we were saying, if Rock happens to get into Rollins, into the chamber match, win it, face Rollins, he wins the belt, then Priest could cash in on him. But then he's making an enemy out of somebody on the board.
Yeah, I don't know. Isn't Rollins the only person to ever cash in at WrestleMania and win
Um, I'm
against
not
what
sh-
was it?
Well, he joined the Brock and Reigns match.
That's right. Yeah, and he pinned Reigns, right?
He made it a triple threat instead of waiting till after.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember if there's been a cash in that's happened like after the match. But I think that was the only one to make it a triple threat until Lola Vice did it at Vengeance Day.
Oh,
Um,
right. Yeah.
but I'm trying to remember if there's been a cash in like after the match at Mania. I can't recall.
Yeah. I don't know, but
So
I'm
he
not
wins.
sure.
He wins the belt, and then you give him a couple of months. He doesn't have to hold it long. He doesn't need it.
Oh, Priest?
Yeah, he doesn't have to carry the show.
No, but there's so much else going on. I don't even know if they're going to even approach that until after WrestleMania.
Exactly. They could do it on. I mean, I know they've done a lot of cash-ins on the Raw after Mania,
Right.
so they could always do that. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting month and a half. I mean, they got me hooked. I was already hooked, and now I'm like, it's can't miss TV right now.
Yeah, it is back to that can't miss like the old days.
Exactly. So what are we thinking for Friday? We know that Rock and Reigns are going to show up, and it seemed like Hunter was going to be there. We know he's going to be there in a non-TV capacity because he's always there for shows. But do we think they're going to have a showdown in the ring, or do you think Rock's just going to respond on the mic and that's it?
I think Rock, Roman, and Heyman are going to respond, and then they might make you wait for Triple H's response.
So we'll
They
do a
might
little
drag it
ping
out.
pong tennis match back and forth. Week 1 is
Right.
Hunter. Week 2 is Rock. Then back to Hunter. Then back to Rock.
Right. That's how I would do it anyway. To stretch it out, build the anticipation. Oh shit! Oh, Hunter's coming next week.
Well, we know for a fact that Rock is going to be at Mania and wrestle. That was already kind of confirmed by everybody.
Yeah,
So
including The
it,
Rock.
yeah, so it's not like he's not gonna have a match. It's just a matter of who's it. I still think it's gonna be Seth now. especially after the trailer that dropped last night. It kind of had Seth and kind of Rock face off on their own. And then
Yeah, I
Seth
did
being
see that. I
super
watched it a couple
vocal
times.
on X, he's been, saying that he can't do whatever he wants. It's abuse of power. We don't need
Yep.
you. Like we were doing fine without you. It's great to have you, but we don't need you. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. They're
Here
setting
you
up
go.
for
Hold
that.
on. Hold on a second. I just came up with an idea. What if Seth is the one that he taunts Rock? He's the one that talks Rock into, why don't you face me for the title?
You could do that,
But because of the chamber match, that wouldn't happen.
right?
So
Unless they make it unless they make it a triple.
not a huge fan of triple threat matches, but especially
I
for
know.
titles.
I know. I always
But
find like triple threats are good if the story calls for it, but sometimes they just make triple threats because they have one guy that's not doing anything,
yeah,
so they need to include him.
yeah.
So I'd rather have somebody have plans, have try to make plans for as many people as possible, and whoever's left out, they usually get the Andre Battle Royal or something like that. But I mean, you got 2 nights, so there's really no excuse to keep people off.
Right. And what about the rumor that Hogan is going to actually win the Andre Battle Royal this year? Have you seen this?
I did see it. The
Yeah.
thinking would be eventually all he has to do is just come in and kind of like maybe take one little bump where he's hurt, and then just throw it whoever's left out at the end out.
Right.
So he doesn't really have to like work the match. He can just come in
Then he
somehow,
poses and
yeah, somehow like stay alive for the whole thing, and then at the end just throw the last person out, and then he wins the Andre Battle Royal.
right.
I mean, again, it's just another legend coming back to take somebody's spot. So how many times do you want to see that? I don't know.
Well, you know what? The little Hulkamaniac in me kind of wants to see that.
Of course it does.
It's
You
40
run around
years,
your
you know.
house with you run around your house with your boa on.
Well, he didn't wear the boa back then.
No, you. If he
Oh, you
wins,
mean
you'll put
now?
on
What?
your yeah,
Oh,
you'll put on your boa
yeah.
and run around the house.
Oh, hell yeah. Of course.
Absolutely.
I'll pull out my old Hulk Rules bandana from 1991 that I still have.
I think I had the Python Power one.
Wow.
I think that one came after. But
Yeah, I believe it came after. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think the Battle Royal was kind of supposed to be like a kind of like a little push for the people that win it, and it's been anything but. It's been like a footnote.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
trying to think of some of the people that won the damn thing. Braun Strowman.
well, didn't Priest win it one time? Did Priest win it?
Yes, he. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I think Big Show won the first one. Um, yeah, I don't
Let's
think it's.
see.
I mean, it might have.
I'm actually
That
looking
might
it
have
up.
been the breakout for Priest, but it hasn't really done much for the winners. Did Omos win
Did
one?
it? Wait. I
That's Mike typing,
think so.
folks.
We're going way off the rails here now. Talking about
Well,
yeah,
this is good.
Cesaro. Okay, Cesaro, Big Show, still there?
Mm-hmm. Listening.
Shit. Oh, you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Cesaro, Big Show, Baron Corbin, Mojo Rawley, Matt Hardy, Braun Strowman, Jey Uso, Madcap Moss, and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, and I
So
think
Priest
Lashley
didn't.
only won because Bray got hurt. So he wasn't even going to do that. He was supposed
All
to have a
right.
program with Bray, and then Bray went down with the heart issue. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's done nothing. I'm trying to think maybe that's what catapulted Priest.
Well, he didn't win one.
Oh, he didn't win one.
No, I don't know. Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah, so I don't know. It hasn't done anything for anybody.
I mean,
It was
Jey
a cool.
Uso was already a big star.
Yeah.
Lashley's already a big star. Big Show, eh.
So we got about 9 minutes left.
All right, well, we can wrap up.
Yeah, so I think we kind of covered the reactions of the press conference. I'm interested to see what happens tonight. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if Cody's going to talk tonight, Cody or Rollins. I
Yeah,
think they
yeah,
should.
exactly.
One of them should cut some kind of promo. Cody still needs to explain. We still need to know why Cody gave up his opportunity
Yeah.
for about a
I
week and a
want
half.
some. You want an explanation as to why LA Knight is on Raw. Me, I want the explanation from Cody.
Well, no, I want that one too, because we still need to know why he gave it up after a week and a half. I know
Yep.
some of our booking ideas, we were saying that Rock kind of coerced him into doing it.
Yeah.
Using numbers and things like that
Yeah.
as the argument, but he needs to tell us what it is, otherwise, because it still doesn't make sense. Even though we got what we wanted, we need to know why we didn't have that for about a week and a half.
Yeah. And I think the Rock doing a power play is like the most reasonable explanation.
Yeah, and if Seth
You
goes
know.
on TV tonight and kind of talks shit about Rock, then I think we know where that's going. Because Friday,
Yeah.
Rock can respond to
All
Seth.
right.
So once again, we got to tune in tonight.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, this was a cool debut episode. So much to talk about. Way too much going on right now. So I'm glad that we got this in.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks for listening. If you listened, and we'll see you next time.
Make sure you hit
Heads up.
that like button, hit the subscribe. That will really help out. We're just getting off the ground here. This is just a passion project right now, but we'll see if it gets anywhere.